to bring in CNN's Pete Montine, who's at the briefing site. CNN's Brian Todd and Danny Freeman are at the scene. Also with us is maritime attorney and former merchant marine captain Klaus Luhta and structural engineer Kit Miyamoto. Captain Luhta, first of all, let me just ask you, what stood out to you from what you heard?
One of the things that jumped out to me is the timeline as they were stating minute by minute the decisions that were being made and the calls that were going out. If there's any silver lining in this at all, is the immediate response to those distress calls. There was no time to get a tug there, that's obvious, but there was time to shut down traffic on the bridge, possibly limiting loss of life, and the time of day when this occurred. If there is a silver lining in all of that, I think lives were saved.
Yeah, I mean, the tick-tock was, it was minute by minute, in some cases involving seconds of all. At 1:26 a.m., pilot made a call for tugs. 1:27 and 40 seconds, the pilot ordered the port anchor to drop. What does that indicate to you that the pilot ordered the port anchor to drop? And they're obviously trying to slow down the vessel or stop it.
Yeah, I've been on vessels just like this, in and out of the Port of Baltimore, dozens of times, sailed all around the world, and that's an immediate, typical response to a distress situation where you don't have control over the vessel. Letting go of the anchor is a manual function. There's a brake, you just crank the wheel and you can let it go and tighten it back up, and that's one of the initial emergency responses that's required in order to hopefully slow the forward progress of the vessel.
Kit, you're a structural engineer. She talked also about the type of bridge this was, built in 1976 with 3 spans,
right?
And that the design essentially is an older design, that it doesn't have, it's not a fracture, well, it is a fracture critical bridge. Can you explain what that is, that it doesn't have structural redundancies? I assume if one part of the bridge is weakened, that the load could be carried by other parts of the bridge. Is that right?
That's right, Anderson. Essentially, the way the structural system is actually pretty simple. There's a piers, and there's the bridge on top of it. So if the one of the piers come down, then everything comes. Just there is no redundancy there at all. And also, this bridge built in 1976, and it's not seismic area. So it's a little bit different. Like, for example, if you see the modern, say, bridge construction in California, it has more redundancy because of seismic area. So the structural system tend to become bigger and also more ductile, which means can take the impact per se.
So if there were more, if there were structural redundancies on a bridge like this, how different would it look? I mean, if there's 3 spans, how would you deal with the weight of those 3 spans?
I think what's going to happen, okay, after all, this is 100,000 ton of a ship, okay? I mean, it's 1,000 feet long. It's a massive thing. It's bigger than the bridge by itself. So even the moving as 9 miles per hour, the momentum is huge. So no structure can take that such a brutal force. However, there's many ways of doing it. For example, if you see the Tampa Bay, the bridge, which collapsed, by the way, in the 1980s, now provide an island system around the pier, so therefore they will slow down the process of heating, stuff like that. And also you can make the structural system much more redundant, as that they're talking about.
So essentially those islands, which I've seen around the pillars on bridges, that's not just for helping the pillar stand, that is for slowing down anything that might be coming to hit the bridge.
That's right, Anderson. Essentially, that's going to, and the energy coming through anything at the barrier, it's going to slow the momentum down. That's a very important aspect of it. If you follow the modern bridge design code, the chance of a collapse of this nature happening in 1 in 10,000. So it's a really rare event. But even the older bridges, there are ways to make a protection, like protection to never happen this kind of things again.
And Captain Luhta, it's always frustrating to hear after an incident like this, about voyage data recorders that could have more information, but I assume it's just I don't know, I'm not sure what the holdup is. If the NTSB has been calling for, wishing, they would have more parameters built in or mandated into these. Who decides that sort of thing?
That would be something dictated ultimately by regulation promulgated by the Coast Guard. But when she says that the voyage data recorder information is basic, That's because ship operations are basic. There aren't a lot of parameters on these vessels to be able to track. You have the propulsion, you have the steering, and a lot of the external factors like winds and currents and atmospheric conditions, those things can all be measured and you can capture those outside of what the ship has. So it's not really so necessary for these systems to be very complex and record that much information. I understand the chair. She would like to have more information, and that's the NTSB's job, of course. But ships, for the most part, are pretty basic in their operation.
Kit, are there other aspects of this press conference that stood out to you from an engineering standpoint?
I think that it's definitely that just looking at pictures and how it's collapsed. It's just that those piers are so weak, so little, compared to what this mass scale of a ship. So there's no way to just avoid a collapse here. So it's definitely that I think that the building the protection system around the piers, especially for older bridges, I think that's a really critical things we got to do.
Kit Miyamoto, I really appreciate talking to you. I'm sorry for some of these circumstances. Captain Klaus Luhta as well, and thanks to all our correspondents.